Hi, today we are going to be doing a quadratic function that has imaginary solutions. So first, here you can see that we have a graph that it doesn't cross the x-axis, and the solutions are where it crosses the x-axis. So it would look like it has none, but actually there are imaginary solutions using the letter I, which is the square root of -1. So if it only has imaginary solutions, you have to use the quadratic formula, and you can't use any sort of other sort of factoring thing. You have to use the quadratic one. So that's what we're going to do. This is our problem. And yeah, so we're going to figure out the solutions that are imaginary. And so first we have the quadratic formula, which is x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. And a is the one in front of the x squared, b is the one in front of the x, and c is the one with no x in a quadratic equation. So for ours, a is 2, b is -6, and c is 10. And so to input all the things in our function, you get x equals -6 plus or minus the square root of -6 squared minus 4 times 2 times 10 divided by 2 times 2. So you can see the ones that I added into the areas are done in green. And so after that, step 1 of solving is just I wrote down the equation again. And for step 2, we're going to do the easier things. So we did -6, which is just 6. So we have that. And then 2 times 2 on the bottom is 4. And so next, we're going to do the one inside of the square root. So x equals the 6 plus or minus the square root. And so if you do -6 squared with parentheses, you get 36. And 4 times 5 times 10 is 80. So you get 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 80 over 4 for now. So then after that, you can simplify under the square root sign further. So you get -44 under the square root sign. And so then it's 6 plus or minus the square root of -44 over 4. And so for then, you have to simplify the square root. And since the square root's not a perfect square, you have to do this factoring. So you get 44 is 22 times 2, and then 22 is 11 times 2. And these are all prime numbers, and you can't factor them anymore. And then you have 2 2's, which means those are perfect squares, which would also be 4, and 4 is a perfect square. So 2 can go on the outside, right here, and 11 can go on the inside because you can't take the square root of 11 without it being a crazy decimal. And also, I is inserted for the negative. So your final simplification of the square root of -44 is 2i square root 11. And so you just insert that in where your square root was before. So it's x equals 6 plus or minus 2i square root 11 over 4. And then after that, you need to simplify your things over your division sign. So here you see you have 6 over 4, and you can see that in your other one, because you have 6 over 4 here, and you have 2 over 4 here. So when you simplify that, you get 6 over 4 is equivalent to 3 over 2. And 2 over 4 is equivalent to 1 over 2. So then you can simplify that, so it's x equals 3 plus or minus I square root 11 over 2. Because you simplify those two things, because they both could simplify with 2 as a denominator. And now that you've gotten to there, you can't further simplify the equation. So your final answer is x equals 3 plus or minus I square root 11 over 2. And so your solutions are 3 plus I over the square root of 11 over 2, and I minus I square root of 11 over 2. And you have to do it that way, like I said, because there aren't real solutions, and the only way to find a solution is to use the imaginary number I. And that's how you do it. Thanks for watching.